We're back with the 2 p.m. turn of First Battle of Kernstown, Death Valley, Great Battles of the American Civil War. So we've got a couple activations done here. Just going to kind of bring you in on this. What has happened is Confederates have the initiative, and we started off with some artillery. So the Confederate artillery right down in here took some shots trying to knock off these 14th Indiana unit up here that was disordered, and they missed. And the same thing back here with the Rockbridge artillery trying to take a shot, and they missed. One bright spot here for the Confederate artillery was this stack with the Augusta batteries and the Hampton batteries. They actually disrupted the 10-pound Parrots that are over here. So that has taken away some of the Union firepower. Now the Union still has some good units over here with Sullivan in command of them. So we'll have to see how that goes. But more to the point, with Jackson's attack, he came up shortly after, moved up over here on the left flank, and pushed back this cavalry a little bit more. Cavalry retreated before for the advance. The second time it did it, it disrupted going into the Pritchard house there with the stone wall and over the creek and so forth, caused it to disrupt. Other cavalry over here is still out there. Now you may say a gap and say, why are you doing that? Well, we've got Confederate cavalry over here, which hopefully can come up here and push them away and secure that left flank. So what this does is it brings Fulkerson over here to position, threatening the guns or threatening the flank over here. Now he will be under the fire of the guns, so this will be a little tricky maneuver from that perspective. Back in the center over here, Garnett has started to move up a little bit with some of the units. They've moved up a little bit. We had some fire here from the 2nd Virginia, which actually hit the 14th Indiana and caused them to take some strength losses. So they lost one there and they've lost one there. So they're down to 7 strength points over here. They were already disrupted. That's what caused one of the strength point losses. And they had to retreat back. So the 27th Virginia has moved up here to position, again, to continue the fire. Now they're muskets, so it's going to be a little bit tougher, for them. We'll like to try to get them go into shock them, but the problem is these units are not very strong in terms of strength points. They're good with the morale, but not with the strength points. So we've got to whittle them down. We've got to get them broken or disordered like we have over here. And we have to watch the flank over here for Sullivan's units. That's why Burks has moved up just in reserve behind them. Now here's a little trick for those of you who may be new or wanting some tactics. Make sure you leave 1 hex space between your units, because if for some reason these guys have to retreat for whatever reason, if they have to retreat back there, you can cause a log jam or get your formations messed up really easily, because the way the rules work is when they retreat through units, there's some UDDs that need to be rolled, and there's a possibility that you may lose them. So leave some space in between there. And it's also good too for maneuvering to leave some space between your units, just to allow maneuvering. Because right now, my feeling is Burks right here, he's in reserve. He can continue to follow up behind Garnett's units, or he can pivot off to the right here and do possibly a 45 or a 90-degree wheel and engage Sullivan's troops if they come up to meet Garnett's flank over here. So they're in a good position to support as well as Garnett's attack, as well as a flanking maneuver by Fulkerson over here. So that's all for the first Jackson activation. We'll come back for more later. So Jackson activates again right after his first activation and goes right into the attack some more. First off with Garnett, taking some shots at the 8th Ohio here, but missing, and they exchange some fire. Then the 2nd Virginia takes a shot and misses again, and then Garnett brings up the big unit here, and let's go back here a second. There we go. The 5th Virginia. Now this is where a little bit of a disaster struck because 5th Virginia firing with muskets, so they're going to get -2 for being at the 2 hex range. But I figured that would offset with their strength, which is 9, so they're going to be firing the maximum, which is 7, and hopefully that would get some sort of hit on on them, but it missed. And then they fired back with 4. These guys actually split their fire between here and here, and that 4 actually hit hard. They rolled a 9 and then a 9 again, which lost a strength point. You can see there, and then also they were just automatically disorganized. So that was a little bit of a disaster over here, along with the 27th trying to take a shot to keep 14th back, and their shot missed. The 14th hit, and again they rolled another 9, and that was a loss of strength point and an automatic disorder. So that was a little bit of a disappointment there for Garnett on here. But to the northwest, we had a little bit more success. Fulkerson moved up, and as Kimball was moving down, he struck Kimball here, shooting at them and disordering him. So he's actually disordered, and then he moved up to attempt to shock him. Now, Kimball and the 67th Ohio retreated a hex, retreated before shock, I should say, and got out of there in time. Otherwise, they would have been in a tough situation. So then Fulkerson moved up to keep them locked in combat there, while his other units, the 23rd Virginia, moved up and pushed back or forced back the Maryland cavalry that was sitting at Pritchard's farm after it's been retreated. It stayed disordered and continued to move back, but that actually masked the artillery up here, so they couldn't shoot in reaction to them moving into the hex. So this was a little bit of a positive situation up here for Jackson's units. Now we still have the 1st West Virginia sitting over here by itself, and they could be a threat a little bit if they can change orders and move up. But we've also got the other cavalry over here of Ashby's that can swing up and protect the flank over there as well. The other piece of it, Burks tried to switch his orders at the beginning of the activation, but failed, and he stayed at advanced. So he wanted to get up here and try to engage the guns while they were disordered. So he sent up the 21st Virginia to just move next to him to make it harder for them to recover. Now this is a little bit of a gamble because we've got the 5th Ohio back here, and they're a strong regiment. They're 10 steps. Now the other one's over here as a skirmisher, but that can easily be recalled, and then they can go in and attack them there. So it's a little bit of a gamble with it, but that'll actually lock up the battery there from trying to recover effectively, because it'll be a -1 on their roll. So that's all for the 2nd Jackson activation, and we'll move on from there. Okay, back with a activation for Shields, or I should say Kimball, who's the commander on the field, and he does activate and get units moving around a little bit. First off, up here on the hill, moves up the 84th Pennsylvania to help cover the guns from Fulkerson's attack. Then Kimball himself rallies the Ohioans, that 67th Ohio, that are in his hex. Of course, given his leadership there, that helped him out quite a bit. Then moving over here, his couple of units that were on the extreme Union left started to move back so they can get into command. Now their command finished. Now typically I wouldn't, if I was playing 2-player, I wouldn't do this, but this is my own notation so I can remember this, that these guys are finished because they only have one activation being out of command. So they're done. And then the other ones were the 14th Indiana recovered as well, so they're back in good stead, down 2 strength points, but that's okay. The one bad thing for Kimball's units was the fact the 8th Ohio tried to take a shot, seeing that this unit here with Garnett was broken. They were going to try to push it back and inflict more damage. Took a shot, missed, but then incurred the wrath of the whole gun line shooting back at them. And that was pretty damaging because they got hit by the 2nd Virginia, 4th Virginia, as well as these guys here. They were disordered. They also got a low ammo, plus they lost 2 strength points over there. So that really did not work out for them very well. Meanwhile, Sullivan activated and just realigned his units a little bit. Moved these guys over here. That's the 62nd Ohio, just as kind of a break over here. Also, the 5th Ohio deployed into an extended line, as you can see here, 5 and 5, to potentially protect the guns. I think the guns, if they survive, they're going to pull back and get up to the hill over here or someplace like that. They've done their job, and right now they're in danger of being lost if in the next activation, Jackson wants to go for them. I don't think so, because we've got the 5th Ohio over here, and I don't think Jackson will want to commit to his right with the success that's going on to his left over there. So I think this is just going to be pinning and then hopefully pushing them back over there. So that's it for Shields activation. So we'll move on from there and see what happens. Okay, we're back with a few more chits being drawn, and we just had a little bit of an artillery duel here with 3 artillery chits coming out, 2 for the Confederates, one for the Federals, for the Union. And what happened here is not much for the Confederates, because the Confederates had to reposition here. They're pretty much blocked here from shooting because Jackson's units had closed on them, and it's just impossible for them to get shots in on these close action units here. So they're repositioning units. First off, Rockbridge guns here moved up over here to get a clear line of sight down to here, took a shot, missed. And then Hamden's units over here, along with Danville, are moving up over here. They're going to set up over here to try to engage in some long-range shots at Pritchard's Hill, the artillery up running Pritchard's Hill, to provide some support, because Falkerson is now getting hit with artillery up here. Luckily, he hasn't taken any losses. They got some shots in here, but they both missed, and this canister missed on here as well. So that's important to try to give them some cover as they move up, because they've made some good strides in here to get onto the flank of Kimball's troops over here as well. From the Union perspective, as I just said, they missed over here. They tried to retreat the artillery from here, and this was a real disaster for them, because when they pulled out, the 21st Virginia opened fire on them, just wiped them clean. Took a hit and a second disruption, and that just wiped them out completely. So that gives a couple of points to the Confederates for the loss of that artillery. So that's all with the artillery so far. We're moving along here, and I think maybe the next one could be Jackson, could be Shields, or could be artillery. Stay tuned for that. Okay, back here for the end of the turn. So the last few chits did have Jackson and Confederate cavalry, followed by a couple of artillery activations for the Confederates. Now what happened here is they took shots down here at Fulkerson from the artillery units up here, disrupted him. He was already disrupted, but he couldn't be fired on because he's blocked by this unit right here from being fired on. So he couldn't get fired on. Tried to shoot some over here with the 3-inch rifles, but they missed here as well. Of course, the other artillery is back. These guys are blocked as well. And then these guys back here, they were low ammo. They recovered from low ammo, took a shot, and they low ammoed again. So they're not doing as great a job with the artillery over here. So Fulkerson's still engaged. It's still tough because he took when he tried to attack with Jackson's last activation, he got disrupted from a firefight right in through there. So he's got to try to recover next turn to get back into the game. From the Union perspective, they've stabilized their line a bit, taken a few casualties. Of course, they lost that artillery, which is key because that gives the Confederates 2 points. Now the Union's going to pick up a victory point here this turn because they only activated once, so that gives them one more victory point. So the victory points now is 4-2 at the end of the 2 p.m. 1400 turn. That's where we stand with everything. I think I covered most of the highlights. One other thing over here in the corner. Let me move you over so you can see a little bit. Is the cavalry have been Ashby's cavalry have been pushing back the Union cavalry quite a bit. Coming up here, they're in attack orders now, and they're threatening the flank. So this could become an issue for these guns up here, and with what they do, probably swing this guy forward so it clears the field of fire over here for them, and try to hold back Ashby a little bit. But there's a little bit of a cavalry back and forth going on over on this side here as well, and on the other side, the cavalry. Part of the 7th Virginia Cavalry over there, you can see, has moved up into the position that was held by the Ohioans. He's going to be checked by 1st Pennsylvania over here. Not sure what to do because he's out of command, so he can't really change into attack mode. So he's just going to kind of play center field or play right field over here to try to block any type of advance over here and have Ashby's guns try to continue to fire down the line over here. In the middle, speaking of guns for the Confederates, they cleared this field of fire over here. So they should be able to shoot down into here and attack those units in the next turn. So it's still up in the air. Again, this is the end of the 1400 turn. Moving on to 1500. Big decision for the 1500 turn is going to be the the reinforcements coming in. We've got Tyler potentially as reinforcements, but if they come in, that's going to cost victory points for the Union. So we're going to have to take a think about that and see what we want to do from there. So hopefully you're enjoying this. Like I said, end of 1400 turn. And if you're liking this, please like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you on the 1500. Thanks for watching.